episode 38 with my man JX Remy. He's been on a
Yes,
couple times
sir.
at this point, man. He's
Yeah, third
becoming.
time.
He might as well be the freaking co-host at this point.
I know, right?
So, yeah, man. What? Before we get into like all the basketball stuff, you doing anything fun for the new year? You got any like goals for a channel, all that stuff? That's sort of what I did last episode. Is like rather than getting into basketball stuff, I was just like, oh, I want the channel to hit like 800 subs, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So for me, for New Year's, Christmas, I was in Puerto Rico. Spent some time with family, with some friends. Went on a little vacation. It's always needed. But I did spend New Year's and Christmas here in Florida. But that little week in between, I was in Puerto Rico, living it up. But for overall goals, when it comes to my YouTube, it's just uploading at the end of the day.
Yeah, true,
Uploading.
bro, true.
Because I don't upload. I'll make like a video every 4 months.
Yeah,
And then,
that's something I'm really trying to work on, man. I made a tweet. I don't think you have me on Twitter because you just mainly use Instagram, but I posted a tweet and or no, you do have me on Twitter because I
I
see
think
your
I do.
yeah, because I see your tweets every now and then.
My magic rants.
Yeah, but I made a tweet and I said like, these last few years I haven't been that consistent because of like school and everything, and it's
Yo,
also
facts.
like it's also hard to come up with ideas every now and then because like
Yeah.
if there's nothing in the news cycle, which is like I'm gonna bring up with like trades and stuff like that.
Mhm.
If there's nothing in the news cycle, it's like what do I make a video on if like nothing
Literally,
is
bro.
happening? But
Off season. That's
yeah,
how it is.
exactly. But I went ahead and like posted a tweet where I said like, last year it's so hard to come up with video ideas, but this year, bro, it's the first week of January and I have
Yeah.
like 12 videos in my drafts right now.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm ready to
12
just
videos?
yeah, bro, and I'm gonna try and
That's
release.
wild.
I'm gonna try and release like one video a week, so that means I've
Yeah.
already have like 3 months covered.
Yo, facts. That's crazy.
Yeah, dog. Anything happen with UCF? Any cool college basketball news? You can't really see it because the
Not
camera
much.
cuts it off, but I got
Yes,
the
sir.
UCF shirt
There
on
it
for you.
is.
Dude, I was texting Jeremy. It was so funny. Like Christmas happened. I texted my dad. I wanted to get like some more basketball shirts and stuff like that. And like my dad doesn't even know JX Remy. Like my dad watches the podcast, but like still, like my dad doesn't really know any like of my online friends. So I texted him like, "Oh, he was like, what do you want for Christmas?" I was like, "Give me some basketball shirts." And like 3 out of the 4 things he got me happened to be UCF stuff.
Which is amazing.
And so I told my dad, I was like, "I got to text Jeremy, bro." Like
Amazing.
Yeah, so anything happen with UCF or anything like that, or is it just same old, same
Bro,
old?
I start the semester, what? When are you going to upload this? Tuesday?
Yeah.
I start the semester this week then.
Really? Y'all start kind of
Yeah.
early. We
I
don't.
start.
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
Oh, I start on the 12th. That's it.
Oh, okay. We start like later, like usually we start like a couple days before my dad's birthday, which is what's
Yeah.
happening this semester as well cuz my dad's birthday is on the 21st.
Okay.
So we usually start like around like the 15 to 19 range, and it's the same thing this year. Like we don't go back until after Martin Luther King Day. So the Martin Luther
Okay.
King Day, I think, is the 16th, and so we go back on the 17th. So it's dumb the way they're doing it because they're like, oh yeah, y'all are getting a school holiday for Martin Luther King Day, so y'all don't come back until Tuesday. But we're like, but we're already on break, so all you're doing is just giving
Exactly.
us an extra day. Like it's not like
It's
we're
ridiculous.
yeah, it's not like we're in school and you're giving us a Monday off. It's like we're already on break, so
Yeah,
it's
it
not
doesn't
it's not a
count.
school holiday. You know what I mean? Like
Literally. You can't just bundle it up.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
That would be like if they took away like Christmas break and spring break and we're like, "Oh yeah, we're giving it to you in the summer." And then you just
Yeah,
got to do
right?
got to do August to February with no breaks.
All merged.
Yeah. August to February no breaks, but then you have March to August like full.
Horrible. Horrible idea.
Yeah. Um, but the main reason I had you on, man, because I talked about it last episode. You are a Magic fan,
Massive
and
Magic fan.
I know it's sort of like semi old news at this point, but y'all got into a little scuffle there, didn't y'all? So
Yes.
I wanted sort of
Little.
your take on that. I gave sort of my take last episode, but I'm excited to hear what you have to say on it, and then maybe I'll bounce off of you.
Okay, I got you. So basically, for those who haven't seen it yet, it was everywhere, literally everywhere. That's the most coverage the Magic have gotten in the last 5 years, bro. The
Jeremy's
last
like, I'm
5 years,
excited. We
bro.
were irrelevant, and
Bro,
now we're in the news.
exactly. The last time we had that much relevancy was Aaron Aflalo swinging on Bayelitsa when he threw a punch. You probably don't even know what I'm talking about.
Nah.
So basically, so if you didn't see it, Mo Wagner, let's say it correctly. He's running, right? I guess Caleb Houston throws a bad pass and then the ball starts rolling out of bounds. Mo Wagner runs full speed and he's running with um Killian Hayes, right? They're running together. Killian Hayes is towards the out of bounds. Mo Wagner's on the inside. Mo Wagner extends his arm, literally pushes Killian out like completely into the bench. So already I'm like, bro, like, come on, man. Like, it was going out of bounds. Nothing was. It was just a regular turnover. Just let it be a turnover.
Yeah.
And before that, Wagner, Diallo, and Killian Hayes were chirping a lot. Like they were already having like some fouls, some back and forth, and you could already tell commentators were talking about it. It was already noticeable. So I guess this, for some reason, was just a breaking point. This man shoves him into the bench, and then he shoves him into the bench, and then he falls into the Pistons bench. So it's like, how are you gonna? That's like me smacking you and then trying to go sit with your dad. Like, what do you think is gonna happen?
That's such a good way to put it. Like Killian Hayes tries to go back to the bench. It's just
Like, bro, I slap you and I try to sit with your dad. Like, what is that gonna do? It's just,
Bro, that's funny as fuck. That's the best way you could have put that.
so I'm watching this, and then Killian gets up and he throws a punch to the back of his head. Right, extremely dangerous. Like, not even in boxing or professional fighting you can do that. So it's already extremely dangerous. The situation just went up 1,000 just because he actually threw a punch.
Mm.
Now people say he got knocked out, or people say that he connected. I really don't know, because if it looks like he punched him square in the back of the head and he just got dropped.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because at the end of the day, maybe he could have just thrown himself. Mo Wagner's a flopper.
Yeah.
He's a flopper. So I mean, maybe he just threw himself down, and then once he hit the bench, then the Pistons assistant coaches, they were literally like bear hugging the guy, keeping him shielded from the Pistons players. And then what really disappointed me about this whole situation wasn't that, because fights happen, they're normal in the NBA. It's just that for some reason, the Magic as a team completely forgot one of the biggest NBA rules, where you don't
come
leave
off
the
the
bench.
bench. Yep.
Don't leave the bench. Bro, they left the bench. And I'm watching it back, and we got our whole roster just chilling there, like. And then I'm just there, like. So immediately I hop on Twitter and I tweet. I'm like, oh, half of our team is about to get suspended for a game. And what
Yeah.
happened?
Half the
We
team
had
got
like
suspended for a
8
game.
players suspended over that one altercation. Now, I am happy they did it because they stood up for their teammate.
That's something I was gonna bring up. Yeah.
That's something important, because you stood up for him and you were there for him. But at the same time, it's like you got to know the limitations, and you also got to like. Our Mo Wagner, he's a hothead. Like, there's times where we got to chill him out, but I love his energy. I love the fight he brings. I love how rude he is, because that's a guy every team needs. But in that moment, it was just too much. And if Killian Hayes never throws that punch, then he probably just gets kicked out the game, no suspensions. But because Killian threw the punch and Diallo pushed him, I guess, then it escalated into everybody getting suspended, Pistons players getting suspended. It was just a disaster.
So that's something that I touched on a little bit, is that I know as a Magic fan, it kind of hurts that like everybody gets suspended and everything like that. But
Yep.
I sort of made the point of like I understand both sides, where it's
Yeah.
like I understand that there have been massive fights like 2004 where you have to have that rule where if
Yeah.
you leave the bench, you are fucking done. Like we
Literally.
need to stop 2004 from happening again. But at the same time, like you said, Mo Wagner, whatever.
There you go. There you go.
He, you know, I fully think that he got like unconscious for a couple seconds. You say you're not
Yeah,
sure.
it's possible.
I think that like with the back of the head, like he genuinely like lost consciousness for a few seconds.
Yeah.
But that's an important distinction, is that I think he went unconscious for a few seconds, and so he falls down into the Pistons bench.
Literally.
If he were to like, if this were to happen where like, say it happened in the middle of the court, like half court,
Yeah.
like Killian Hayes like punches Mo Wagner, and Mo Wagner like falls onto the court.
Out cold.
Like obviously that would be a huge like impact because the court is
Yeah.
hard, but
Yeah, it's a
at
concussion.
but at the same time, that's in the middle of the court where there aren't that many people, right?
Mm-hmm.
My issue was he's falling into the Pistons bench, and that is why the Magic bench got involved. Because, and what I did last episode is I went onto the video and I broke this like down frame by frame to sort of explain like my thoughts on it. But if you look at the Pistons bench, the Pistons are like trying to like help him up in a way.
Yeah,
they're
trying to
they're all standing around and they're like, "Whoa, this dude's unconscious. We need to like chill." But the problem is the Magic players can't see that.
Mm-hmm.
All they saw is that, yo, our guy just fell into like, 10 players of the opposing team. So for all they know, every single one of the Pistons players are gonna, come raining down, and it's like, oh well, now our teammate is getting jumped by like 9 different people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like that's why the Magic got involved, because it's rather than being like one guy versus 9, let's make this 9 versus 9.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Pistons weren't doing that. But again, it's all about perspective. When you're in that moment, the Magic aren't gonna notice that.
Yeah, you gotta think about that.
But the Pistons sort of had like that frame of mind where it's like, yo, this is getting out of hand because this guy is laying on the floor. Let's get him up and let's figure this out. And so that's sort of my take on it. But I did want to sort of like touch on the way that fights and like things like that are different now in the modern era, because I know that there's probably a lot of videos that have already been made on it, especially because it's the Pistons, and so you can meme a lot out of it. But
You heard the announcer?
yeah, exactly.
See, there you
Stay
go.
in your seats. Like,
Exactly. There you go.
like I wanted to bring up, like, I wanted to ask you and sort of talk about it a little bit. How possible 2004 is now versus it was back then, because obviously nothing has been as big as that, but I think there are things that can add to the escalation and also take away from the escalation, because again, I went to the fight video and I sort of broke it down, and a big part of like why I think you could have an argument for it being worse and also an argument for it being not as bad is the addition in the modern era of cell phones, social media, and that sort of thing. And that's because, like, if you look at the video, there are people sitting courtside that, like, immediately pull out their phone and, like, start recording it and everything like that. So that has implications of, like, how does it affect the NBA's, PR? Because that was the huge thing with 2004 is, like, they were super hard on it because of, like, PR and stuff. But at the same time, does social media encourage people to get involved or encourage people to not get involved? And that's where I'm sort of on the fence, because it's like, again, those people were sitting courtside and they pulled out their phones to record it. So it's like, okay, they're not getting involved. That's a good thing. But at the same time, you could have like that one drunk dude that's like, I could run on the court right now and get 1 million views on YouTube during this fight,
You never know.
So that's where it's like where do the rules go from here, because obviously a lot of these rules regarding fighting and suspensions were because of 2004, but the world has evolved since then. And so again, it's like, how do we prevent, like, if a fight is happening like that, how do we prevent like a dude just like sprinting across the court because he wants to get on YouTube? That wasn't a thing in 2004.
No, for sure. And it's different now, because it's like, if I do it, I go viral. If I do it, maybe I get suspended from here, but I can still go to other NBA arenas.
Yeah.
And it's just for the memes. It's just somewhat, bro, people want their 15 seconds of fame. And people are, bro, they'll do anything to get it, especially if there's already so much happening in one spot. Like, for example, a football field, even easier to do that. If you got a whole benches clearing incident on a football field, team swinging, you can just run on the field. Security won't notice you.
Yeah, I think that's a good point as well. Is like the NBA, like the basketball court is a lot smaller.
Yeah, it's
so
tiny.
You could make the argument that it's a lot harder to like get past security versus like a football field. They have 100 yards that they have to cover, and like anybody can come on like any of those four sides
at any moment.
But I don't know. It was just something that was bothering me. That was like, like there's these teenagers in the court side that are recording with their phones, but at any moment, one of them could hand the phone to their friend and be like, "Hey, record this for TikTok," and then just go,
and then they'll get 1 million views.
That's what I'm saying. Like they
will get 1 million views.
Yeah, because then they could just post and be like, "I got involved in the Pistons Magic fight," and then it's done. And I like the fact that you brought up like, yeah, I could get suspended from one arena, but that doesn't prevent me from other ones.
Facts.
Like,
I can still go to football games.
Yeah. Cause there was that one YouTuber, I forgot who it was,
Vitaly ZD or whatever.
He like, didn't he like strip at like a bunch of like football games, and then he got banned from football, so then he went to soccer games, and then like he got arrested, and then somehow he convinced like his mom to do it while he was like arrested or something. So
I don't even know. I didn't know that part.
Yeah, like he got his family to do it while he couldn't do it.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But like also like the fake Klay Thompson guy. Like
that's amazing.
Like
that's amazing.
He got suspended from ever going to like any Warriors game.
Yeah.
But it's like he got the views. Like we were just saying, like, and what's preventing him from like freaking doing the same thing and going to like a Grizzlies game or something? Like,
what's crazy is I had no idea who dude was till he did that. I go on his YouTube page just to watch the vlogs, and then come to find out this dude is a hooper who makes great content.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this guy's pretty good. And then now I know who he is, and sometimes I'll see his videos.
Yeah, exactly.
One stunt.
And that's why, like, I think social media really affects, like, the ways things like this happen.
It does. It really does.
And that's, like, a whole nother conversation as well, is, like, not to get, like, political, but, like, in the real world, like, past basketball, like, people always talk about how, especially with technology, because, again, I'm a computer science major, like, Congress is very, very slow and behind whenever it comes to making laws regarding the internet and technology. And I think the same can be said for sports rules and sports legislation, where we talk about like Adam Silver and like the committee and stuff like that. It's like, like even before Adam Silver came in, it was like, David Stern could have sat down and been like, because he was commissioner till 2015, right?
Why?
Like 2014, 2015.
for a while.
So let's just say it was 2015. I think it was 2014 or 2015. That David Stern left and Adam Silver came in, right?
Yeah.
YouTube was around at like 2007.
Yeah.
So even with David Stern, that's still 7 years he could have like sat down and had a meeting about like YouTube and like obviously yeah, like NBA has their own YouTube channel now, so I'm sure like they talked about it, but it's like the problem is the conversation wasn't how does YouTube affect the NBA in terms of, you know, fans or I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. It wasn't a conversation about how does social media affect the rules. It was a question of how does social media affect our publicity and like getting the word out there and stuff like that. And then that's why NBA has its own YouTube channel now and NBA highlights after every game and all that sort of stuff.
And they copyright everything.
Yeah. But I really think that like social media and like clout chasing really has like an effect, and like even outside of social media, I wanted to ask like how possible you think like another 2004 event could happen, because the thing is like everybody's talking about the Detroit fight because it's Detroit, but like there were 3 other fights that night and one of them involved a fan on the Suns, and that's why I'm wondering like how did yeah, exactly, like me and you keep up with basketball, and like you're saying you didn't even know about it, so it's like how did this go under the radar when it involved a fan? But I think it's because it wasn't as severe, because security like ushered him away like pretty fast.
Okay.
But at the same time, the Suns coach like put hands on the fan, and that's like and that's what I'm saying, like that was the huge thing of 2004 is like you don't by any reason like touch a fan. And so it's like even if the Suns fan like, or even if the Suns coach like all he's doing is like kind of like pushing this guy like off of him, at the same time it's like, well, you still put hands on him, and that's like that's a huge deal after 2004. And then like a couple months or a year or however long ago it was before that, I'm sure you saw somebody tried to throw a cup at Luka as well.
Oh yeah.
And
you see that all the time.
Yeah. But if we go back to 2004, you know, Reggie Miller talks about this all the time, and he said the same thing you did. He was like, NBA fights happen all the time. The problem was when the cup was thrown.
Yeah, the beer.
So it's like, you know, like if you combine all these things, like these are all separate occurrences.
Yeah.
But if you combine them all into one, you have all the puzzle pieces there for 2004 again. All the dominoes are set up already. All they have to do is fall. Like, we had somebody put their hands on a fan. We had the players getting into fights on the benches. We have people throwing stuff at the players. Like, all the dominoes are still happening. They just aren't falling continuously together the way they did before. But it's like, I still don't really know, like, even with all these rules that we've made, what's really stopping it from happening again? Because again, all the dominoes are there. And like, again, like Luka, like you can throw a cup at Luka and Luka's not going to care. You know, Luka's like a chill dude. But what happens if you have like another Ron Artest or something like that, or
Draymond Green?
Yeah, Draymond Green, freaking. He doesn't really play anymore, but you know, DeMarcus Cousins was known for being like the most aggressive dude, like
ever.
Yeah, you know, and it's. I know it was a big thing about like, and we can get into this conversation as well, but. It was a huge thing at like the World Cup that like alcohol was banned, and alcohol makes up a large percentage of revenue for sports. So it's like, how do we like prevent this from happening? What rules do we need to make? Because we can't ban alcohol, because again, that's huge sponsors for stadiums and stuff like that.
Huge.
especially
You seen how much?
Milwaukee.
Yeah, bro, facts. You seen how much a cup of beer is at a basketball game?
Well,
I don't drink,
I was
but
gonna
it's
say I
like
don't drink, but I go to basketball games with my dad a lot, and like one beer can cost you anywhere from $7 to $14.
exactly, bro. That's so much money. So much money.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, but when you really look at it, I mean, personally, do I think something like that could happen? I think it can, but I mean, with the amount of security that are at games and the amount of people and the amount of just I don't I just can't see a situation where an NBA player, especially in this day and age with the amount of knowledge that even the stupidest ones have, even the biggest hotheads have, with the amount of knowledge that they have, where it's like, oh, if I even push somebody out of bounds, I'm literally gonna get thrown out or this and that. Like the NBA, the rules are so thin right now to the
Mhm.
point where it's like if you go punch a if you punch a fan in this day and age, you might just get banned from the NBA and
Yeah,
shit.
it's like you're not even suspended anymore. Like you're just done.
Yeah, like Ron Artest got suspended the whole season and a half, something like that.
But
Something
then
crazy.
but then he came back and won a championship.
Yeah, I know, right? With the Lakers.
So it's like, but now it's like if you do that, like you're just
I
that.
don't even think you'll have a job anymore.
That's why I was so surprised about the Draymond Green thing. Like I know people were like freaking hyping it up and stuff like that, and I did say like that people were over exaggerating it, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm surprised there wasn't like more punishment, cause it's
Yeah.
like but I do think like you said that you know Ron Artest or Meta World Peace now. Like me and my dad sort of talked about, because my dad's like the older generation and he like watched the fight and everything like that. We talked about, sort of like flashback to it and like everything that happened, like everything that happened because of that fight, like the cause and effects and like the rules and like all that. Um, and he sort of made the quote unquote accusation, and I don't want it to sound bad, but like he had made the indication that like Ron Artest may have some sort of like mental problems with when it comes to anger, and Ron Artest even said in the documentary he was seeing a lot of therapists and stuff like that. Versus people like Draymond Green and like stuff like that, I feel even though they're known for their temper, like you said, they can still sort of be like, well, I can't get involved
Like
otherwise.
level-headed.
Yeah, it's like I can't get involved or I'm just done. Because it's like Draymond
Yeah.
Green, Draymond Green has his own podcast and he acts like a normal person despite him
Yeah, he
being,
does.
you
It's
know,
actually really good too.
yeah, like even even if he acts like super aggressive like on the court, basketball players and athletes have that on off switch where as soon as they step off the
Yeah.
court, it's like they can be best friends. Like I forgot there was this
I mean,
old
bro.
cartoon, bro, that showed on like Cartoon Network or Disney or whatever it was. But it was like it was about football or something, and it was
No
like
clue.
it was this cartoon where like football players were like secretly superheroes or something like that.
What in the world?
And if they got like a ball that had like their team logo on it, let me see if I can look this up, bro.
Yeah, I've never heard of this show
Football
ever.
superhero cartoon.
But no, bro, it's true what you say. With athletes being buddies off the court, I mean, bro, LeBron James works out with half the league in off seasons. So it's like,
Is it this?
what is it? What's the name?
NFL Rush Zone is an American action adventure animated series.
Could be.
It might be that. I don't know. But I don't even watch football, but like the show was sort of fun. I have like no memory of it other than like one or two scenes. But I remember it was like again like these football players sort of have like special abilities or something to like take
Okay.
down people. And so there was like a Chiefs player and like a Raiders player, I think. And
Raiders and Chiefs.
yeah, and they were like hanging out like on like a normal like Tuesday night and like stuff like that. And like you know, because it's like a cartoon, there's like the kids like protagonist that are
Yeah.
like talking to like the players and stuff like that. And they're like, the kids are like, I thought you guys hated each other, you know, why are you guys hanging out on a Tuesday? And like the players are like, nah, we're like best buddies. It's just whenever we get on the court, like we gotta like try and kill each other, but
Yeah.
off the court, like we, you know, we're
Nah,
chill as
for
fuck.
sure.
Like,
For sure.
so it's the same thing where it's like any sort of athlete has that switch where it's like on the court it's fucking game time. Off
Yeah,
the court
literally.
I'm gonna have a
Literally.
beer with you, you know.
Literally.
So
And bro, we see it everywhere. Every athlete hangs out with every athlete in the off season.
yeah,
Like,
and then that's where
We'll
you
see
get
the
like all
most
the tampering
random
allegations.
yeah, exactly. There you go. We'll see the most random combinations of players in the off season. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's just weird. I mean, like, I'll give you an example of myself. I'm at a UCF volleyball game, setting up. We're getting ready. Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton walk in through the door. I'm like, damn, okay. And you know who's with them?
I don't know.
Tony Snell. The most randomest thing I have ever seen in my life. Tony Snell's at UCF with Cole Anthony and RJ Hampton.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you that no matter what, these players, the most randomest combinations of players are hanging out off the court.
I feel like again another random combination. I feel like Aaron Rodgers and Chris Paul could hang out just because they both have
See?
State Farm
Exactly.
commercials. Like
Exactly. And they probably do hang out. Like, they're
Yeah.
probably buddies.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, that's really all I have for that one. You know, I wanted to talk about, you know, your perspective on the fight in like
big
2004.
fight.
Yeah, and like all that sort of stuff. So we kind of got that out of the way. And I may bring it up again in the future cuz, you know, I like getting different perspectives on it. Cuz again,
For
I
sure.
think the Magic did the right thing, but I understand why the penalty is there of like suspending
Yeah.
everybody.
It should be there too. I mean, it just keeps
Yeah.
the league safer
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
I didn't know that they were gonna stagger the suspensions though, and I know it makes
Dude.
sense. I know it makes sense because they have to be able to
Yeah.
play. But I turned on that Wizards game, bro, and I was ready to see like third strings playing, and I was like,
Bro.
Cole Anthony's still here? What? Like, you know what I mean? I was so
Bro, that
confused.
It was so bad. That game was so bad.
But y'all
because-
still had players. Oh wait,
Yeah,
what the
yeah,
heck?
we
My
still have
stream
players,
just
but-
switched. Oh, we're good. We're good. It was just
We're
bugging
running
out for
out
a second.
Kavon Harris, Admiral Schofield, our two-way guys, who sometimes they're great and sometimes they win us games, but bro, it was a disaster. Especially because that 3-game stretch was supposed to be a 4-game win streak. Because
Yeah.
we played the Pistons, the Lakers, two teams that are, bro, they're doing terrible right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the Magic, we suck. But it's like, we suck, but we should be better than the Pistons because the Pistons
Yeah.
don't even have their best player. Cade Cunningham is out for the season. Pistons, they're just playing through Killian Hayes. And Killian Hayes is struggling he's having a bounce back season,
Mm-hmm.
but by all means, he's not having like a stellar season. It's still a team that we should beat because they're relatively young. And we have the better overall player in Paulo. And then the Lakers, I mean, they got LeBron, but
Yeah.
dude, that night the Lakers were hitting everything. Bro, it was
Yeah.
terrible. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was only 1-game suspensions, so it could have been much worse. I'm glad it wasn't, and we could put it behind us.
Yeah. So real quick, now that we're done talking about like the fight and stuff, we can get into
Yes, sir.
to other basketball stuff. Let's talk about playoff predictions now that it's getting a little bit closer.
Ooh.
It's a new year.
Let's check the
It's a new
standings.
year. Like
Okay.
we've been about halfway through the season. I think I know I asked CJ. I don't know if I asked you at the very start of the season what his predictions were. I've said my
Okay.
predictions. My predictions
Okay.
have changed a little bit though. So
Are they completely wrong?
no, I still the only person that I've changed is who's coming out of the West. I still
Okay, I
think
got you.
I still think Bucks take the East, and I've said that for the last
Yeah.
3 years in a row. And
I agree with that.
I know that last year I was saying the entire season the Bucks are going to be in the finals, the Bucks are going to be in the finals, and then we lost. But at the same time, we still took the people that were in the finals to a game 7 without Middleton.
For sure. For sure.
So, and I know, like, I get on to Nets fans all the time that are like, if Kyrie and Harden were healthy, they would have won. And
They'd
like,
be amazing.
yeah, and I always get onto him because I'm like, yeah, you say what if, but that's
Back
not.
in the day.
Yeah, I get mad at them because I'm like, you say what if, but that's not what happened, so just deal with
Literally.
it. But then I do the same thing, and I'm a hypocrite because I'm like, if Middleton was healthy, it's
that's
like
how
I'm
it
doing
be.
the same exact thing. Like
That's how it be.
But yeah, man, I'm curious. I'm curious your predictions. I think the Bucks. I think the Bucks are gonna win the East.
Okay.
And I won't say who I think is coming out of the West until you say your predictions. But based on who I think is coming out of the West, I think
Okay.
the Bucks win it again and beat the people I think are coming out of the West.
All right. I'm gonna be honest with you. We'll start with the West. The West is very difficult right now because the West is separated by like maybe 4 to 5 games between the 1 and maybe the 8th seed. They're separated by like a good 7 to 5 games. Like Jazz are 7 games behind the first seed. That's a pretty close margin in comparison to the East, where the number 10 seed is 9 games away. So 2-game difference makes a difference. But when it comes to the West, I don't think the Mavericks will make it anywhere, just because playoff basketball tightens up, and we saw Luka versus the Warriors, Luka versus an actual juggernaut of a team. They did beat the Suns, which that's still insane. But I don't think the Mavericks will make it anywhere. The Kings, they'll just be happy to be in the playoffs. Now, the teams that I'm really, really scared for is not the Grizzlies. I don't think the Grizzlies will do it yet. Maybe next season they can, but I don't think the Grizzlies can do it yet. The teams that really, really scare me is the Clippers, because Clippers, you might say, oh, Kawhi, PG, they're injured, they never play. But it's like, bro, the Clippers have a perfect team in terms of who's on their roster, the type of bodies, the type of players that they have. 3-and-D guys can guard everything. So that's already a matchup nightmare. And I've heard it in several places where the playoffs this year seem like it's more of a matchup sort of thing rather than skill level sort of thing. Because we have a team like the Nuggets. If the Nuggets match up against the Warriors, I don't see how the Warriors can beat the Nuggets, just because the Nuggets are going to abuse them down low easily.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like it's based on how your team is built. Because,
Exactly.
like, if the Warriors, like you said, if the Warriors go up against the Nuggets, the Warriors have a bunch of three-point shooters.
Yep.
So, and the Nuggets don't have that many people that can defend the arc. But at the same time, all the Warriors really have is Draymond Green to guard Jokic. And besides that, they have nobody that's going to guard the big men.
And the Nuggets play great offense just like the Warriors. Bro, Jokic is making Aaron Gordon look like a star this year. It's insane.
Yeah.
But now, if Zion is healthy, we'll get into the Pelicans right now. If Zion is healthy, that's a bracket buster right there. In terms of, like, if the Pelicans have Zion and BI, that's a scary team. That's a team I don't want to go up against in the playoffs. So the West is extremely difficult.
That's something I was going to ask you about later is, like, I have a few teams written down, and Pelicans is one of them because it's like...
Bro, the Pelicans are a very scary team. Last year, look at what, they took the Suns to 6 games or something like that?
Yeah, and that was even without Zion.
And that was their first year without Zion.
But at the same time, though, I think it's important to keep an eye on Zion's health because, like, the other day, he's been injured for a while, or, like, the past 2 seasons. But also, like, I'm sure you probably saw, like, he jogged off the court a couple days ago. He was, like, driving up the ball, and then he sort of bounced on, like, he was, like, hopping on one foot because he, like, hurt his hamstring. Boom. Yeah. So it's like...
Injured again.
Yeah. So it's just really keeping an eye on the Pelicans, but...
It really is. The safest pick right now is the Nuggets.
Yeah.
The Nuggets are the safest pick, but I don't want to pick the safest pick. So I'm gonna go with, bro. I really don't know. I really don't know this year. The West is wide open.
So here's my take, and then you can give your thoughts on it since you said I don't know.
Okay.
I'm gonna disagree with you
On
I
the
th-
Grizzlies.
on both.
Okay.
I think the Clippers have no shot this year.
No shot. Okay.
Because they have really been struggling. Like you
Yeah.
said, they should on paper be doing really well,
Yeah, they should be a phenomenal team.
but they got blown the fuck out by the Nuggets the other day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
They did.
I really like, for whatever reason, the Clippers are
It's
not
weird,
doing well.
Bro. Their team is so weird.
Yeah, and they got people over the offseason to make their bench deeper too. Like they have John Wall like to help out Kawhi. Like
They have names and bodies. Like,
yeah, but they just aren't doing well for whatever reason. So I don't think the Clippers are gonna make it. I was gonna talk about the Kings, and exactly like you said, I was like, the Kings aren't going anywhere. They're just
Yeah.
happy to be there.
They're just happy to be there. And if I'm a Kings fan, I'm extremely happy.
They're-
You break the curse. You break the drought. And
Yeah, it's just like I imagine like I imagine just like a team or something like that where it's like
yeah.
I'm laughing just thinking about it, but I just imagine it's like, and here are your teams in the playoffs, and it's just like it shows like the star player of like each team, and they're just huge guys that look like Shaquille O'Neal or something, and then it gets to the Kings, and he's like a 10-year-old with like a foam finger. Just like, I'm here too, guys.
They're gonna hang up the 2023 NBA playoff first round, man.
Yeah.
We made the playoffs.
But like, as much as we joke about it, that is really a huge accomplishment for them.
No, it definitely
because
is.
I
It
saw,
really is.
you know Kenny for real, right? Because like he's like
Yeah.
he's a huge name in basketball YouTube now. But he was debating if the Kings make the play-in, do we
Is it a
count it?
success?
Like, yeah, is
Yeah.
it a success? Do we say like the playoff drought is over, or does it have to be fully playoffs? And it's like, well, that doesn't matter. Because they're like the 5th seed right now. Like we don't have to worry about the fucking
they are.
play-in right now.
They are the 5th seed right now.
And so that's fucking crazy. Like
It is, bro.
like the last time they were in the playoffs, like neither of us were even born. It was like 20
Yeah, I
something
know.
years ago. and now I'm on a podcast like talking about them, you know? Like
Yeah.
that's how long it's been, is like not only was I born, but I grew old enough to like, you know, freaking start this, you know?
Yeah, bro. Freaking Mariners of basketball.
Yeah.
They are.
But I know the Nuggets is the safe option, and it's probably
It
gonna
really
be the
is.
Nuggets. But
I think
for
this might be their year.
for the sake of content, all right,
God,
for
hot
this
take. Hot take.
for the sake of
Steaming.
for the sake of content, I don't want to say the Nuggets, so I'm gonna
Okay.
say the Grizzlies.
Okay.
But
Tell us why.
I don't think that they're gonna do well in the finals. I think they're gonna barely get through like every
I
team.
mean, bro.
Like I think they're gonna take each team to like six or 7 games. Like every time they're gonna barely get through the finals, and then once they get to the finals, the Bucks are gonna either sweep them or win in 5. Like
I got you. I mean,
you know,
bro, that's an amazing prediction because last year they went toe to toe with the champs.
yeah,
They went toe to toe with the champs. Now, do they beat the Mavericks? I think they do beat
I
the
think they
Mavericks
do,
last
yeah.
year. I think they would have beaten them, and they would have gotten crushed by the Celtics. Absolutely crushed.
let me look at the standings one more time.
I mean,
So for the West, the Grizzlies are number 2, which is why I picked
Yep.
them. So they would have to
Clippers.
they would, yeah. So it's the top 8 teams essentially in the playoffs. So they
Yeah,
would
we're ignoring playing. Just ignore that.
yeah, so they would either have to play the Clippers or the Trailblazers, which I think both are easy teams. The Warriors, they could take to 7 games. The Kings, again, are the Kings. They're just happy to be there. I think they can take the Mavs. I think they can take the Pelicans because Ja Morant has taken Zion before.
Yeah.
So their biggest issue, again, would be the safe pick of the Nuggets.
Yeah.
But I think that's just a repeat of the Pelicans where it's like, if you can hold Zion down, just do the same strategy with Jokic, where they're both two huge guys, you know.
For sure. The
Um,
biggest thing with the Grizzlies is at the end of the day, the only way you're beating them is by hitting your threes. Because
Yeah.
Grizzlies, they have like a top 5 paint defense. I
mhm.
just found that out from the Magic game the other day. They have a top 5 paint defense, and your offense will generate a lot of open 3 looks.
Mhm.
Because obviously you can't guard the paint and the 3 perfectly.
Yeah.
So the Grizzlies, their biggest downfall is going to be, can the other team hit threes against them?
Yeah.
And we've seen in the playoffs that'll either kill you or work incredibly for you.
Yeah. And that's why it's gonna be a huge issue with them for the Warriors, because that's been like sort of a rivalry this year too. Is like,
Yeah,
who's
it's
gonna
fun to
win, the
watch.
Memphis or the Warriors? And it's been sort of 50-50 of like the Memphis win sometimes and the Warriors win sometimes. So it's gonna be
And
really
the
fun.
Warriors blew them out last time
Yeah.
without Curry.
Yeah, they got blown out by the Warriors last time, but the question is, oh my bad, is like, can they do it again type thing.
Yep.
So I'm taking Memphis, but the thing is if Memphis is struggling with the Warriors, I think the Bucks just fucking roll over them if
Dude,
they're both
the
in
Bucks
the
are
finals.
gonna be insane
Yeah.
if they hit the finals again. I
Yeah.
mean, bro, we saw Giannis in the finals. Nobody could guard him. Dude was dropping 50-point triple. Did he ever drop? I don't know if he dropped a triple double, but I know he
Yeah.
dropped a triple double, but not 50-point triple double.
He was
But, dude,
also he was like
he's insane.
he was the only one since Shaq, I think they were saying, to do like 50 and 60 points in the finals and shit like that.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah. Speaking of like scoring records though, that's also
I see where we're going.
that's the next thing I sort of wanted to talk about is Luka had a 60-point triple double, Donovan Mitchell 71, Larry
71.
Markkinen 49, LeBron's getting
Yeah.
40s. It seems everybody now is getting 50-point games.
For
So
sure.
I have a video on this.
Okay.
I don't really want to
Speak too much about
speak
it.
too much because I want the video to speak for
For
itself.
sure. I got you.
I don't want to spoil it because if I spoil it here, people aren't gonna watch the video.
For sure.
but-
For sure.
How long do you think it'll take before somebody beats Wilt's record?
Wilt's record. Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know about
or
that one.
or even Kobe's record. Kobe's the only one in the 80s right now.
Yeah, for Kobe's record, it's more doable. We saw a dude drop 71. What's making it so doable nowadays is the amount of free throws these guys are shooting.
Yeah.
Like, you have a hot night, you can drop 50. And especially if you're playing against a bad team, like, I almost said the Jazz. The Cavs, they were playing against the Bulls, a team they struggle defensively.
Mhm.
Realistically, they struggle defensively. And the Bulls have a very fast-paced offense. So when you have two fast-paced offenses where they're getting more than, I don't know, more than like 100, I don't know, you advanced metrics, you get what I mean.
The number
you're
of
having
possessions per game, yeah.
So many possessions, then it's so much more doable. Now, the only issue it comes down to, like, a lot of teams, they'll have a dude, he'll start off hot, and then they'll just ignore him.
Yeah.
Which, it can be annoying. But for the 80-point record, man, for 80, I could see that being broken in the next 10 years.
I would
Now
even
that
say breaking 80 the next like 5.
Yeah, it could happen in the next 5 years. You get a guy like, who would be a realistic person? Luka.
Curry.
Look, as much as Luka did 60, if you really look at his the dude has the ball the entire freaking game, and he gets calls like crazy. He just needs one hot night.
Because that's the thing is like everybody was going crazy about the fact that it's a 60-point triple double, which means
bro.
that he had 10 assists
Exactly.
and 20 rebounds. So let's take those 10 assists away. and convert
and
them
turn them
into
into points.
points. Just
It could be
if you take
20,
yeah,
25.
I was gonna say if you take those 10 assists and just assume all of them are 2 points, that's already 80 right there. But
Literally, bro.
then you have to remember that it's also fucking Luka. So
Yeah.
a lot of those are gonna be threes as well. He could easily have 85, 87,
Yeah.
something like that.
It's wild to think about. It really
Yeah.
is. I mean, it's just weird. It's just weird. But he is my most realistic pick just because he has the ball in his hands. He initiates everything. He is the Mavericks' offense.
Yeah.
He's literally him.
Yeah.
So he's my pick to do it eventually. I mean, other than him, I don't really know because a lot of teams, they play within a system.
Yeah.
And the Mavericks are one of those teams who their whole system is based off one guy.
Yeah, because none other team on the Mavs can do anything else.
Yep.
And I hate betting on the Cavs because,
Dude, worst team to bet on.
yeah, because they take turns, like, all
Yeah.
the time. Like, it's either Darius Garland is going to drop 40 or Donovan Mitchell is going to drop 40, and you never know which one of them it's going to be.
Yep.
Um,
I put money on Evan Mobley to drop 8 points in a game. He was under. The game before that, he dropped 19.
yeah, exactly.
I was like, never again.
It's like the...
That's why I don't bet anymore.
I don't like, especially whenever it comes to, like I said, like Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, because it's like they'll have, because they take turns with each other, because they're both essentially point guards. It's like Donovan Mitchell will have like that 71 game, and then he'll have like a 13-point game, like
literally.
within this week,
And they still win.
Yeah, because
But you do know, when one of them is out, the other one is about to go off.
yeah, that's one reason that he went off so much is because I think Evan Mobley was out for that game, and I don't know if Darius Garland was also out for that game or not, but
so he had all the shots.
Yeah, but we talked about breaking Kobe's record. I am on the big belief that Wilt Chamberlain's record will hold until the NBA is no longer a thing.
I think so too, bro, because if I got a dude that has 80 points, I'm punching him every time he comes down. He's not gonna get the ball. I'm gonna injure him. I'm not gonna let it happen. Like 100 points on my head? No.
That was the thing too.
Jeez,
is like
bro.
I don't want to give too much about the video, but everything about Wilt's 100-point game, all the pieces came together.
Perfectly.
It was just like part of it was luck. Like I know Wilt is like an amazing player, but just for that night on its own, it was a lot of luck.
You have to be lucky. You have to be lucky that your defenders are still stupid and that your defenders don't adjust to what you're doing.
Well, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is that just for that night, they were playing the Knicks, who already had a bad defense, but the person that had to play Wilt was like a third string defender.
Yeah, see?
And then also, you talked about free throws. Wilt, I think they said, like, normally had, like, somewhere in, like, the 50s or 60 free throw percentage. Like, it wasn't that great. But for some reason, on that night, Wilt was, like, 90-something%.
See, there you go.
On his free throws. And that's what like a lot of articles are about is like he hit 100 exactly. If he missed one free throw, like that's 99.
99. Me and 2K right there.
But and then also it was a huge thing about like the media and stuff like that because as he like started getting closer to 100, you know, you were just talking about Donovan Mitchell and Luka getting the ball all the time. Once he passed like 80 or like even like 70, it became like a thing where like the crowd was chanting like get him to 100 and like all that stuff. So they
your team's gonna give it to you.
Yeah, so they were like intentionally like giving him Wilt the ball because it's what the fans like wanted is like to see him get 100, you know. So
I mean, at the end of the day, bro, it all just comes down to is the other team adjusting. Like, if Luka brings the ball down in an isolation matchup, and Luka scores 15 points in a row just doing an ISO, are you going to be a stubborn coach and let him keep ISOing until you pray he misses? or are you gonna bring a double team and adjust to it? It all just depends on your coach's adjustments,
Yeah.
your players' adjustments. Because if a dude comes down, drops 15 on my head within 4 minutes, and I don't make a single adjustment, then it's very possible that he comes down and in 7 minutes drops 25 on my head, and then from
Yeah.
there we have a huge momentum rush.
Yeah.
And it all just comes down to, am I adjusting or am I a Mike Budenholzer being extremely stubborn?
Bro, that's such a throwback to when we were talking about like
Yeah, you remember those days?
why they lost the Boston series because Budenholzer was like, I'm putting George Hill in.
There you go.
Like,
Bro, it all just comes down to your coach.
yeah. And I was gonna ask like why you think these people are scoring so much, but I think you pretty much just said it. Like it
Adjustments,
depends
man.
on the other team.
And it depends who's defending, bro. I mean, Chicago Bulls, your best defenders, Ayo Dosumu,
Yeah.
Alex Caruso, and Javante Green. It's your best
Mhm.
defenders. Other than that, bro, you're getting matched up against Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine, very athletic, but he just loses his man off ball. He's a great on ball defender. Off ball, he's not good. DeMar DeRozan has his struggles, and that man is their whole
Mhm.
offense. Vooch is too slow. So you can already see, like,
Yeah.
the players to score on are there, so he's going to take advantage of them.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't talk about it whenever we talked about standings, but to sort of shift gears a little bit, what do you think about the Nets this season? You know,
Nets?
everybody's been putting them down because they've been struggling, and now they're like I think they're the third seed right now.
Second.
The second?
One game behind Boston.
Oh, really? I thought the Bucks were the
Yeah.
second.
Nah, they took them over. I mean, dude, they're like 9-1 in their last 10.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, when it comes to the Nets, it's just, look, we've seen Kevin Durant hasn't won anything unless it was with the Warriors,
Mhm.
right? I mean, OKC days, he'd make it far, but it was never enough just him, and he would always run into like powerhouse teams, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we saw it against when he played the Bucks, it was just him. Kyrie, James Harden, they were both injured. You could argue they still lose, you could argue they still win. I mean, if his foot was an inch back, they win the whole series and they continue,
Yeah.
right? So it's like you never want to go against Kevin Durant in the playoffs ever. Celtics, they did it last year and they swept them. Extremely impressive because at the end of the day, you see players like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Giannis. These dudes that just in the playoffs are literally unguardable is the last thing you want to see in the playoffs.
Mhm.
So if I'm a team like, let's see, let's check out the standings. If I'm a team like Cleveland, right, and then in the second round I match up against the Nets, that's gonna be hell for me because we have bodies, we have big men, but at the end of the day, you don't have the perfect matchup against Kevin Durant, and nobody does. So bro, it's really just the Nets are always a scary team just because Kevin Durant is there. It's the same way people used to fear the Lakers and excuse me. It's the same way that everybody used to fear LeBron James because he's LeBron James. So I mean, if the Nets are a totally different team now, you can see it. Like you can tell they're a different team. They play like a team.
Yeah.
And that's, bro, if they play team basketball in the playoffs, and it's not just Kyrie ISO, KD ISO, and they're actually moving the ball, getting other shooters open, just playing a system of basketball and actually getting along, that's the biggest thing. If they get along, which
Yeah.
I think they are now, I mean, if you do all that, then this team is literally unstoppable. With
Yeah.
literally just their two stars. I mean, people forget Kyrie Irving is an NBA superstar.
Yeah.
Like this dude is still a top player in our league. He's just always involved in some type of controversy, which is unfortunate. But when he plays, he shows up, and he's great.
Yeah. I
So
I think there's two key things to their success. And again, I'm going to talk about this in a separate video, but it's their coaching change
Yep.
and well, I guess just really one thing cuz the one thing branches off into like four different things. But it's their coaching change. Because like you
huge,
said,
huge.
like the two big things for me are their defense and their team chemistry, which you touched on a little bit. Their team chemistry is a whole lot better. They're working as a team to score points, which again I'll dive more into, but has led them to take less 3-point shots,
Yep.
and they're playing a lot more mid range, which is like a forgotten art in basketball now. Is the mid range like nobody takes
Yeah, it
mid range
is.
shots anymore, and their defense because they're finally utilizing Ben Simmons and Nick Claxton
That's true.
and all of them. Because Ben Simmons, as much as you hate him, as much as any like, but not you specifically. I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you,
yeah, I get
you
what
as
you mean.
you as in the fans, like watching,
NBA fans.
like as much as you can hate him, like he was defensive player of the year one year.
Yeah,
Like
he was
he is like
elite.
a really good defensive player. And so he can make stops, man, and that's something that's really led to their success. Because if you look at their StatMuse is amazing. I use StatMuse
It
all the
is.
time.
It's
Like
a great
yeah,
great
because
website.
you can dive into like very specific stats where you
Yeah.
can't anywhere else. And so on StatMuse, you can break stats down month by month. So if you look at when Steve Nash left, the
Uh-oh.
defensive rating went like the defensive rating improved drastically once he left.
Because defense is energy too. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
if you're mentally down or if you're defense is team chemistry basically.
Yeah.
It's like when do I switch? When do I cover?
I got
when do
Jeremy
go?
to say the word.
What?
That's like a huge meme is like I say team chemistry at least once a video.
Team chemistry. We did it. Success. We got 'em, boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Jeremy said it.
Yes.
But yeah, dude, I talk about team chemistry all the time because it really is
mean,
like
it's
important.
true, bro.
Yeah.
How do you think the Warriors won last year?
Yeah. So we're running short on time, so I got a few more topics, but I'll try and run through.
We'll speed through them.
Yeah, All-Star voting. Paolo is in
Eighth.
All-Star voting, so I just wanted to get your your reaction on that.
Very happy. He's not gonna make it though, but I am very happy.
I've
If Luka didn't make it, he's not gonna make it.
I literally, if you watch my last episode, I literally
Yeah.
voted for him, and I said, I was
Bro,
like,
I'm praying.
yeah, I was like, I'll vote for him just for Jeremy, and I was
want him to make it. I really do.
because he's a rookie, dude. Being a
Exactly.
rookie being an all-star as a rookie is
It's extremely
such an
difficult.
accomplishment, and so that's why I said there was two reasons I was voting for him, and that's one of them. And then for Jeremy, I said
He'll be there
being an
next year.
all-star as a rookie is freaking crazy.
It's insane. I
Yeah.
mean, bro, they got dudes like Pascal Siakam ahead of him. He got dudes. He has to compete with Giannis, the Boston duo. He has
Yeah.
to compete with Jimmy Butler. He has to compete with Kevin Durant. He has to compete. The list of forwards and centers in the NBA, bro, it's
Yeah.
just so difficult for a rookie to compete with them. The fact that he's eighth is already an accomplishment. Next
Yeah.
year, I do believe he'll make it. Very realistic. I mean, he's a rookie averaging like 21 points. That's incredible.
Yeah,
And if he progresses better, because this year his shot doesn't. He's a rookie, bro. His shot isn't falling like it will next year.
yeah,
He's still going through his rookie shit. So if, by all means, if the next step is 25 a game, that's an all-star right there.
yeah. So I think we actually talked about this last time you were on, which was only like a couple weeks ago. But any lightning fast like opinions on the MVP ladder, like who should be there, who
MVP
shouldn't
ladder.
be there, type thing.
Still the same, even with Donovan Mitchell's big game. I still think it's Jokic, followed by Luka. Kevin Durant is up there now.
Hmm.
And then you have like the top five is all just you can make a debate for all of them. You got Luka, Jokic, Embiid. You got Giannis. You got Durant, Tatum. There's just so many guys that you can make a case for.
Yeah,
I really don't know, but statistically, Jokic is having the best season again
yeah,
over all of them, and record-wise, he has the record this year too.
yeah.
Don't forget about that.
So this is the last thing I have on here,
Okay.
but I know that this is probably going to get us into a long conversation, and it's also a pretty
Ooh.
dark topic. So
All
it's
right.
not basketball related, but it does have to do with sports and safety and that sort of thing.
Okay.
And you probably know where I'm going.
Yeah, yeah.
DeMar Hamlin, like, he's doing better now, which is good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
The reports are great.
I don't even watch football, and I saw footage of it, and I know a lot of people say like it's scary,
It is.
like, but my thing with it is like it's not even a football problem.
No.
Like the because I know like the NFL, and I don't want to get this podcast shut down because I know like the NFL is notorious for like trying to keep things under wraps, but um, like they made a whole movie on it about like how when concussions and like stuff like that and what's that brain disease like
CTE.
CTE, that's what it is. Um, like they had a bunch of they still might have like a bunch of issues with
Yeah.
that. And like the NFL was trying to like keep it like low profile and everything. But the problem is like there are no real safety measures that you can add, and it's like not the NFL's
Not
fault
the NFL.
because it was such an a like random chance type thing, and like I saw some doctors talking about it where it was basically like I'll use my hand, and for audio listeners y'all are just gonna have to bear with me, but like the heart is doing this,
Mhm.
and the problem was the heart was coming back out, but whenever it got like hit, it went back. So whenever the heart tries to close again, it can't really close because it's already closed. So whenever it opens, it doesn't open fully. It just opens
Yep.
like a little bit.
And that's where you have
And
cardiac arrest.
yeah. And so the question is like what do we do? Like cuz again, this isn't a football problem. And like
No.
I saw some people talking about it where it's like this happens in baseball a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I know you're a huge baseball fan, so like
Yes, I
people get hit in the chest with like baseballs, and it can happen. Um, and I'm sure there's like other sports as well. So it's like, what happens, if freaking like a basketball hits somebody and it happens in basketball, and like again, this is such like a very like it has to hit at the perfect moment with the perfect force and everything,
Yeah.
but it's still possible because again
It is.
it just happened. And like what would have been the repercussions if perhaps like again DeMar is responding well now, which is good, but what are the repercussions if he hadn't? What if
Yeah.
whenever he gets to the hospital he's just you
Things
know
go south.
because
I
I
mean,
saw some people talking about too. They performed like CPR on him for so long that
Yeah.
like they thought he wouldn't have brain function and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So,
Which is wild.
like what happens after this?
I mean, it's at the end of the day, the sports we play are dangerous in and of itself. I mean, you look at a sport, football. Football is an extremely, extremely aggressive sport. Nathan, you've been to a football game, like a college football game.
Not a college game, even though UTSA is huge on
Yeah.
football here. But
Bro.
I used to play football in middle school, and
Okay,
I didn't want to do it in high school. But
So then you would
yeah.
know that, bro. The noises, the hits that you hear
Yeah,
on the field, bro, especially college football, is absolutely disgusting.
yeah,
Like the force, like imagine you're running on a track full speed,
yeah.
and then there's a dude just in front of you stopping you.
Bro, when I've heard like helmets clash before, and like
It's disgusting.
like that metal on metal like sound of just collision is
Absolutely
like
disgusting.
yeah. It's like if you were to it's the same as like a car crash, bro. Like cars obviously are a lot bigger,
Exactly.
and like there's more noises involved because you have like tires like squealing on the ground and like
Yeah.
honks like cars honking and stuff like that. But
You can only do
it's
so
still
much.
it's still metal on metal, you
Yep.
know. And so yeah, it's like that. Just the noise in itself, like you said, is scary. It invokes
Yeah.
like sort of like some sort of adrenaline or hormone rush where it's like this is unsafe.
Yep. Bro, sports at the end of the day, the way to make it the safest is just people playing reasonably, people playing responsibly. Like the DeMar Hamlin, T. Higgins play, it's a normal play. It's a normal football play.
Yeah.
But you can avoid situations like that if you don't have people who did what they did to Antonio Brown, where he makes a catch midair and a dude just runs straight into his head. Like, if you have players that play responsibly and actually are level-headed, not doing Mo Wagner and Killian Hayes type stuff, then you're going to avoid a lot of injuries. You're going to avoid a lot of problems just because you're playing more reasonably and you're playing safer. Like, you're making it better for everybody.
You just had an idea pop in my head, and it's gonna probably sound really fucking stupid, but I just thought about it.
What?
You just said the main problem, essentially, is being responsible and being aware, correct?
Yeah.
To summarize. When you buy a gun, I know I know that.
Oh my god! Welcome to America.
I was gonna say like that.
That's a Texas boy right there. You can tell.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna have a reaction. That's why I said I know this is gonna sound stupid, and I was
That Texan.
wild way to start a sentence, right? When you buy a gun and just like wild way to
Texas
start.
boys.
But my point is, when you buy a gun, right? It is it is mandatory that, and I know like a lot of people talk about like gun control and like all that, and they're like, well, people should take classes and all that whenever people buy guns. It's like they already do. They already do. Like that is a mandatory thing of like, well, people should be trained on how to use the gun. They do. Like in order to have a gun, you have to be trained on how to use it, the responsibilities of having one, and safety. And so what I'm thinking is, what if the moment you sign an NFL contract, you have to watch some video or take some class, like say it's like driver's ed, like 30 minutes a day for a week, on the injuries and the like safety precautions and risk of certain moves and plays and just the sport in general.
I got you.
That I was like, I know it's gonna sound stupid, but at the same time, you can see where I'm coming from.
It makes sense because it's a brutal sport. Even with baseball, same thing. I mean, the Rays, we had a minor league pitcher where there's just some injuries that are just unavoidable. He got a line drive to the head, and then he was literally like spazzing out on the mound, and then he had to be out for a year with an insane concussion. There's just some things that are just unavoidable. So, I mean, you just gotta be prepared.
Yeah.
You have to know.
You use the old college motto, bro. Just say the old college motto. I know you were about to. We're both in college.
What?
Go ahead and say it.
What?
Say it with me. It is what it is. It is what it is. Like, that is the college, like, mindset in a nutshell. But like, it is that, like you said.
There's so much you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you, man. I get exactly what you're saying, but I don't know. It's just, to me, it opens the world up to questions, and like,
Yeah, it does.
just like we started the episode with the fight and the question, what comes after this, and we're ending the episode with something that happened and the question, what comes after this. You know, it's just.
Perfect ending.
Yeah, it's just like there are so many implications of like, this thing happened, what does it mean? This thing happened, what does it mean? But at the same time, like you said, there's only so much you can do, and it's the same thing with what we said at the start of the episode. You know, circle back. It's like the NBA can only do so much to prevent like a fight from happening or anything like that. So, but yeah, man. Anything else before we end the episode? I linked your Instagram and all that stuff in the last episode. I'll do that.
Sir.
I'll do the same again. You know.
Appreciate
Follow JX Remy on YouTube, and again, like his Instagram's in the description, all that good stuff. Anything else, bro?
sir. That'll be all. Thank you guys for watching.
All right, I think that's it. Nathan Bunnett, episode 38. See you guys.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now.